Alright, this is the Ontario Police stalking. Just like the Caucasian male on the white pickup truck and the criminal summoning immediately following by the Ontario Police, who are stalking in vehicles as well, stalking in the environment, and they're doing so with the city of Upland as well, like I documented, while the entity utilizes criminal summoning, that is being a stalker in an ambulance, in a police vehicle, in a fire truck, is conducted by sounding sirens while they are tracking the steps that is keeping an American citizen under surveillance. I just want to be clear. These are the circumstances where LAPD committed murder. Okay? The entity is engaging in what is gang stalking, that is surveillance, knowledge of who you are, not ignorance. Okay? The entity is engaging in psychopathic pacing while they are stalking in the same way. The white male with the white pickup truck, he's being federally prosecuted for co-conspiring murder with this department, which is the city of Ontario. And this is the evidence that's literally going to be used to prosecute him and the people of the state. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct on a ceaseless basis. That third party is engaging in stalking me. And the environment and the stalking by the government confirms that. It is an unmistakable pattern of conduct. And it is also shared by that agency that is stalking with regard to my documentation of their co-conspirator. The state's co-conspirator are the people of the state. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in surveillance at the square. They're stalking in the path. They're molesting my person while I'm sitting over here with light. That's Sarah's Regis Group. And I just want to be clear, this is Mike LORENZ, who is, again, declared as a domestic enemy of the United States. He is a threat to American society. So is the department. They're engaged in, and they are showing you that they are enemies. They are engaged in murdering American citizens. They're engaged in kidnapping, stalking them, threatening them while you seek to enforce your rights, because that's exactly what I represent, and that's what I've been doing, and that's what the evidence shows. Their posture toward law and order actually is. This is the evidence serving to disband, and it's also to serve to have the agency subject to mental examinations, in other words, committed. Okay, they will be committed, and they're also going to be federally prosecuted for criminal activity, federal stalking, conspiracy to murder. The entity stole my identity. The entity committed defamation, serving a criminal pattern of conduct, while they conspired to take my life. They did that with the people of the state. It does include Tracy Banks. It does include Jason Isaac Fields. It does include Eric Corey Spencer. It does include the gang stalkers who I'm documenting throughout the city of Ontario, the state of California. All right, this is P.O.C. You're looking at the entity that engages in this ongoing pattern. Every time I put the camera on them, that is also the evidence that they are monitoring what it is that I'm capturing on my device. There's no warrant or probable cause to engage in it, and it's also simultaneously used to diagnose severe mental instability. This is psychopathic pacing. The entity's doing it while they are also admittedly stalking. This is POC. It is the Ontario Town Square. This is the entity that is engaged in this pattern of conduct while I am showing you that they are stalking in the bathroom at the Upland Public Library. This is the entity that engaged in what is handing me a letter, which is an admission to this very surveillance. They are absolutely engaged in vagina monitoring in the bathroom. They are absolutely aware of the documentation of vagina monitoring at the Stater Brothers on March 2nd. And nothing occurred at the Ovitt Family Community Library with regard to documentation of them monitoring my vagina. Yes, indeed. But there was no documentation captured. This is the entity that's engaging in this ongoing admission that they committed what is a criminal act of discrimination while they keep my evidence under surveillance, which is exactly what they did on June 16, 2022 as well. They're going to prison, in other words, okay? The documentation regarding this unlawful exclusion at the Ovitt Family Community Library on March 2nd is ongoing. Exacerbating circumstances regarding the harms inflicted while this entity has been engaged in what is years of conspiring my murder and stalking me in effort to do that. The entity has recruited the people of the state that share in that. And this is the entity that is engaging in what is that evidence. Sean Thrasher is going to federal prison. This is the long and short of what is the significance of this department stalking. Okay, because the Ovitt Family Community Library is stalking, and that letter is evidence of it as well. It is entirely fabricated, while the entity is engaging in what is evidence of my surveillance, and I have not captured any criminal activity on my part. To the contrary, I'm capturing this very criminal activity, which is ongoing inside of the doors of this library here. This is the POC. Sean Thrasher is going to federal prison with the evidence of the Ontario Police stalking. The same Ontario Police that they utilized to threaten me, to harass me, and to exclude me with the threat of kidnapping, which the Ovitt Family Community Library has participated in on more than one occasion. The Ovitt Family Community Library represents the people of the state, like the white male and the white pickup truck who's engaged in criminal summoning with this agency, and he is going to be federally prosecuted along with the rest of the people of the state. All right, this is POC. They're all engaged in criminal activity right now. I do go to their homes. I document their addresses. I document their license plates. I document them while I am capturing the pattern of conduct while they share in that. And it is all going to be used with regard to this agency's criminal activity. And this is the P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 11:32 p.m. where you're looking at the evidence of mental instability. Wells Fargo is gang stalking. That third party is going to place itself on the traffic camera, on the transaction cameras regarding the ATM. They're already federally prosecuted, and so is Wells Fargo. They're flying over the bank. I'm going to prosecute the bank. All right, they're flying over El Bacon, where I'm at, and everybody inside of that club is monitoring. I already documented all these license plates. The entity's engaging in a pattern of conduct. They are surrounded with evidence, and they are going to be federally prosecuted as the terrorists that they are. This is the entity. I just want to be clear. You're looking at desperation. You're looking at ongoing severe mental instability. You're looking at what is an ongoing admission regarding unlawful conduct by an agency that sought to defame the targeted individual as that criminal. And this is relevant to what is a criminal enterprise, a violation of federal RICO laws and violation of what are existing laws. Every state actor, such as Hernandez, he's going to prison for stalking. Okay, these fake police officers that are engaging in criminal activity, as they are stalking me wearing guns and badges and in these vehicles, they're going to prison. And this is the evidence that's supporting that policy. The people of the state that are stalking with those police departments, they're going to be going to federal prison as well. This is how you're going to prosecute domestic terrorism. And this is the foolishness regarding this agency, regarding the state of California's pattern of stalking me by helicopter. I said at the outset of this investigation, what you will see is the hallmark of stalking by helicopters. While this entity has provided that body of evidence, it is the foundational framework for putting terrorists where they belong. And they belong in the facilities where people like Osama bin Laden are. Guantanamo Bay, all right? Where enemies, foreign and domestic, who are a threat, let me zoom out so you can see. Enemies, foreign and domestic, are going to be put where they belong, in mental institutions and in federal prison. While you hear that ongoing audible noise of the engines, they're monitoring right now. And this is the evidence. I want to be clear. The federal government is going to conduct raids. The federal government is going to engage in what is deportation, massive deportation. The federal government is going to engage in what is interfering with the home structures of the terrorists who have custody of children, access to those who are, for example, developmentally challenged, while the terrorists of Oak Park and Anthesis show you the threat that they are to the public. Gang stalking with this agency. This is the entity that's engaging in this pattern of conduct, and they're going straight to prison. This is the P.O.C. This is the stupidest, most foolish evidence that a government can hand over, and it is because they are engaging in what is bully conduct, and there was never any sort of intellect behind it. So when the demon-possessed, who are in fact mentally ill, are caught red-handed, these are demons who are psychopathic, and they are now committing the criminal acts in front of all of you, and they have no strategy, meaning the inability to restrain from this ongoing criminal conduct. They are blinded with fury toward me. And I am only enforcing my rights. This is why they are going to prison, and they will be committed. This is P.O.C. This is prosecution of the people of the state. GUAPO23. They're all these license plates are documented. El Bacon is engaged in the pattern. I already documented this demon right here. He's using his vehicle as a light activity. And this is the entity that's going to be prosecuted for that very conduct. This is the ease with which they are sharing in facilitation. And this is in furtherance of murder. Okay, Mike LORENZ, and don't forget Derek Williams. You're not retiring out of a federal prosecution for conspiring my murder. Jonathan Burnett commits kidnapping, and the entity, one demon after another engaging in what is kidnapping, and the evidence has already prosecuted them on the internet. You're looking at them engaging in targeting as they're stalking, flying across the field. Then you're seeing them commence with the psychopathic pacing, which is a psychopath that's engaging in, I'm just engaging in what is flying in circles for funsies because we do this every night. That's the entity that's engaging in what is ongoing psychopathic pacing. It's mental illness on its face. You already know that they're mentally ill because they are indeed stalking, and they're stalking in a helicopter, and then they engage in psychopathic pacing in that helicopter on video. This is the P.O.C. Let me show you what is the specific environment. Here's a shadow over here. The Ontario Police Department are stalking. Here's a shadow over here. The Ontario Police Department are stalking. I just want to be clear, the evidence that is published on the YouTube channel regarding the June 16, 2022 is the evidence of what is Sean Thrasher. There's a bigger picture than this agency that's stalking right now at what is 11:36 p.m. There is a whole pattern of conduct speaking to an entity that's engaged in targeting with the Ontario Police Department, and every single last one: Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, San Antonio Regional Hospital, you have American Medical Response, the Ontario Fire Department, the Ontario International Airport, venues like the Ovid Family Community Library. Stater Brothers Markets, the Ontario Village Shopping Center, Economy Inn committing kidnapping, Woodside Senior Apartments committing kidnapping. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, these are the ways in which the entity is going to be prosecuted, while the defendants themselves and the co-defendants, who are the people of the state, are being prosecuted together with regard to that criminal conspiracy, which is proven while that agency is stalking me on this in this psychopathic and obsessive manner. P.O.C. This is P.O.C. This is indeed the prosecution of the U.S. government. And this is the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department. No police association has any standing. They're going to be prosecuted as terrorists. They have no immunity, and they have no protection under the law. They're not taking any 401k, no final paychecks. They're going to be relieved. They're done with law enforcement, and they're going to be prosecuted and put in prison as terrorists. They're not engaged in law enforcement. They're not engaged in the execution of the duties of officers. They're going to be prosecuted as the bare bones, unadulterated terrorists that they are. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:37 p.m. This activity creation, this is why this club has their windows open while they're engaged in activity creation. This is where the entity has the fake sun and the fake moon. This is where the entity has the engineer light. This is light activity creation. This is ongoing audible activity. Everybody in there is monitoring with the Ontario Police. And common sense says, you're here and the Ontario Police are flying in circles here. None of them are ignorant. They're all demons. This is monitoring. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 11:38 p.m.